Remember when you could see everyday people on television?
Stay tuned, because Stairway to Stardom is next with Frank Masi.
Let's go back.
Tamagotchi,
of Y2K.
In 1972, the Federal Communications Commission mandated television cable systems to offer 3 channels for public, educational, and local government content. Revised in 1976, these systems also needed to provide access to equipment and studio space that could be used by the public. This meant everyone, including their conspiracy theory uncle and their goth cousin, could broadcast themselves to designated channels across the local community. This was a way for people to voice their opinions and express themselves before YouTube and podcasts. Growing up, I have many memories of public access television. If I remember correctly, my local channel was Rogers TV on channel 57. If I was feeling sick, I would turn on the television in the middle of the night, and it was generally the only thing on. The television lighting up my room as I watched the strangest collection of people until I was feeling better or fell asleep. The only time I remember watching public access during the day was Sunday nights while eating dinner. We would put on the Swap Shop. It was for locals looking to sell or buy an old couch or lawnmower. It was always fascinating to watch because of 2 specific callers. There was the prank callers, which these shows were not highly produced, so it was hard to censor them or cut them off in time. Or there were the older callers who would tell their entire life story while trying to sell a coffee table their mother-in-law gifted them on their wedding over 30 years ago. Do you have any memories of public access television growing up? Tell me in the comments, I'm always interested in learning about new shows. With all of that out of the way, let's get into Staten Island's Stairway to Stardom.
And once again, welcome to Stairway to Stardom.
Meet Frank Masi. At 10 years old, he stood on a stage and threw rocks at an actor for his father's stage production of The Saint. And just like that, he caught the entertainment bug.
So you hang on to that dial.
How do you describe Frank Masi? He's kinda like that uncle who told cheesy jokes with the utmost confidence after he pulls a quarter out from behind your ear. There is no evidence to suggest this, but I feel like Bill Murray's lounge singer bit on Saturday Night Live was based on Frank. Throughout the 60s and 70s, Frank is singing at clubs like Macombo in Hollywood, the Cotton Club in Harlem, and the Village Gate in Greenwich. He's talented enough to be getting work in the entertainment industry, but he isn't becoming a star. With the introduction of public access television in the late 70s, Frank sees an opportunity to get his name out there and be seen by potential agents. This is where the show Songs to Remember is born, or the Frank Masi Nostalgia Show. Frank loves himself some 40s music, hence the name. He brings in a co-host by the name of Evie Day, who he met through a piano player during his nightclub days, and she too loves the oldies. Evie writes a song for the show that could double as a theme song for this channel called, well, I'll let you guess the name of the song.
nostalgia, nostalgia.
Every episode had Frank singing, Evie rocking out on the clarinet, a mailbag where they would read viewer mail, and the Nostalgia Corner. The Nostalgia Corner consisted of Frank and Evie choosing a topic from the book and singing songs related to it. For example, if they came across World War II, they would sing songs from that era. Sometimes they would have a guest on to sing with, and every episode ended the same way, with Frank saying, "God bless you and love everybody." I don't really know why, but at some point, Evie is replaced by Frank's wife Tilly. Evie will later appear in pre-recorded clips to promote their mailing address. Then Frank comes up with a new idea. What about a show that features individuals around the area showcasing their talents in the hopes they will be discovered by a talent agent or manager who just happens to be watching? Frank hires the Tony Coluccio Trio as his house band and puts an ad in the paper looking for undiscovered talent. But the show needed a new name because Songs to Remember isn't going to convey what the new format is all about. Frank renames the show Stairway to Stardom. Frank writes the theme song for the show, which is kind of a pessimistic take on entertainment.
There's a long way to go on the stairway to stardom. And you'll fight for each step that you take, 'cause that's the price you pay.
Damn, Frank. The song is kind of ironic because Frank is the most optimistic and enthusiastic person in the studio. Even if the performance is bad, he truly believes in everyone who appears on this show. Each performance ends with Frank interviewing and complimenting them, promoting them to the audience at home like they're the Beatles on The Ed Sullivan Show. Speaking of which, let's talk about the people who appeared on Stairway to Stardom. The good, the bad, and the interesting. I watched all 38 episodes that were available. It didn't take as long because I was able to skip all the parts where Frank is singing, which he does multiple times in each episode. First up, let's talk about All the King's Men.
We got Steve Luisi and All the King's Men.
All the King's Men are a band from Brooklyn, New York, and ever since I started working on this video, I haven't been able to get their version of Coming to America out of my head. The thick New York accent added on to the Neil Diamond song, mixed with the lead singer's sweet dance moves, have been haunting me day and night. Speaking of haunting, the lead singer sorta looks like the Son of Sam's David Berkowitz. The reason I'm talking about All the King's Men first isn't because they're bad. In fact, they sound fine despite the bad audio setup. I mentioned them because after their first appearance and hearing Frank Masi's theme song, they went home and wrote a new theme song for the show, and it's much better.
On the stairway to stardom, you see tomorrow starts today.
The band became a staple of Stairway to Stardom, making multiple appearances and forming a lifelong friendship with Frank Masi. Someone else who is a fundamental part of Stairway to Stardom is comedian Don Costello. His type of humor lines up with Frank's nostalgia because it's kind of a one-man Three Stooges routine. Don's claim to fame is mentioned throughout his appearances as being in Guys and Dolls. I can't find if it was Broadway or off-Broadway. I should also mention that Don isn't one of the people showcasing their talents. He's more of the resident comedian of the show and a friend of Frank. Frank even spoke about helping write some of Don's material for the show. The two bits he does the most are Miss Bosoms, where he dresses up as a woman, and a homeless drunk character with family-friendly jokes.
You know, I wrote her a letter today.
Oh, yes? What did you write?
I don't know, I can't read.
I know I keep comparing everyone to family members, but Don gives off that fun grandpa vibe, which makes his appearances even more wholesome. Okay, let's get into one of my favorite acts to appear on the show with Gloria Huddle. She has a unique approach to her performance, and as it turns out, she's the mother of the piano player in the house band. She begins her performance with a monologue while doing an Australian accent for no apparent reason.
Well, you see, Livy, I'm going to become a big movie star. You remember that guy, Alfie, that we met in the pub? Well, he's been managing me now, and next week we're going to go to London to make a demo.
Gloria then breaks into a rendition of Operator by the Manhattan Transfer, but she doesn't quite sing it. It comes off as more of a sermon.
Information. Give me Jesus on the line.
I like when Frank interviews her afterwards and he asks her if she's Christian and she's kind of like, I guess. This seems to be the only time that Gloria was on Stairway to Stardom, which is unfortunate for us because if anything, she's fascinating. I want to talk about a little conspiracy theory I had while watching these episodes back to back over the weekend. In one episode, the group Reason to Live appear and do a fun little Motown/hip-hop fusion number. In the group is Bernard Jones. He's the bass in Reason to Live.
You're the bass man, of course.
I
What's your name?
hope so. Bernard Jones.
Bernard Jones?
In a later episode, he comes back on the show, but this time in a group called Cleveland Still and the Dubs. He has a unique, deep voice, so when I got to episode 35, Frank has a rapper on who's wearing a ski mask called BJ the Messenger. I'm pretty certain it's Bernard Jones again. One, his initials being BJ is sort of a giveaway, and the fact that his voice seems to be the same. How far down does this rabbit hole go? Does the government know? What other musicians might he be impersonating? These are the questions I want answers to. Let's talk about my favorite stand-up comedian on the show, Al Villa. Frank introduces him as the great-great-nephew of Pancho Villa, a leader in the Mexican Revolution. So comedy runs deep in this family. He starts his set by insulting half the audience, which is a bold strategy.
No, it's good to say there's some more ugly folks here in the room besides myself. No kidding, there's some ugly folks here tonight. If you don't believe me, look next to you.
After getting the audience on his side, he talks about his ugly wife and then does a full bit on ears. I'm not kidding.
If this meat wasn't here, you'd be wearing goggles. What if our ears had been back here? Is it back here? Wouldn't that be something?
This goes on for a good chunk of his set. It's like a bad Jerry Seinfeld routine. On that same episode, we get another gem with Lucille Cataldo, who I did recognize from a previous episode, but if you thought a comedy bit about ears was mundane, get ready for Lucille's song about getting a haircut.
Hairdresser, hairdresser, whoa, hairdresser, 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 hairdresser.
hairdresser, hairdresser.
Bob Dylan, eat your heart out. Now there's a lot of singers that appear on Stairway to Stardom, and I wish I could show you them all, but they're singing copyrighted music. And this is New York after all, so there's a lot of Sinatra, Billy Joel, and Broadway songs. All the episodes are available on the Stairway to Stardom YouTube channel. I'll add a link below to check out full episodes, which I highly recommend because I'm not even scratching the surface. So let me speedrun some of my favorite musical performances and why you should go watch them for yourself. Jimmy Schwartzman is a must-see and is a reoccurring guest. Just watch his rendition of Cabaret, where he really emphasizes cabaret. There are these teen girls who sing Why Do Fools Fall in Love in the thickest New York accents. A rock band called The Mission who stopped partway through their performance to read from the Bible.
Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
There are a lot of children singing, which is adorable, but the best one is this kid singing Lady in Red in the most adult voice he can conjure. Honestly, all the kid segments had me smiling. There is little April Lauren singing Lollipop while holding a lollipop. This girl who says who her favorite singer is, and it reminded me of the scene from School of Rock.
You want to be like what, who? Who's your favorite singer?
Liza Minnelli.
Liza Minnelli?
What are you guys?
The weird part is the way Tilly always says this one phrase when doing the post interviews with little kids.
Okay, somebody out there looking for a little girl? Here she is.
Might want to work on that phrasing. And the one kid I can show is Bobby Joe Carter, who sings a song in the public domain with jingle bells, and he sings it angrily.
Dashing through the snow and hearts up in flight. Over the hills we go, laughing all over.
Aside from the singers, there are many dancers, and they're all interesting and unique in their own way. There are a few impressionists, including this guy who does Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, and Rick James. A magician with a terrified dove.
You have a kind of surprise, don't you? Okay.
Miss Precious Taft doing a monologue and giving it her all.
And now the thought of that child curdles me. And oh Lord!
And finally, a woman doing puppetry from behind a piano, but you can see the top of her head. It's those small details that make it feel like this is something that could air on Adult Swim tonight at 2 a.m. Unfortunately, like all good things, Stairway to Stardom came to an end in 1992 after Frank couldn't afford the studio rental fees when they went up to $350. Frank also tells a story about sending a tape of Stairway to Stardom to Channel 5 in New York, only to call and find out the tape was sent out to California. And a few months later, Frank is watching TV and sees this commercial.
This week on Star Search 87, the competition is hot and the stars are beautiful.
Did Ed McMahon steal Frank's show? I'll let you decide. Watching Stairway to Stardom this week was a nice little nostalgia kick for a time gone by in a completely wholesome way. Like I said earlier, Frank is always enthusiastic about the performances on the show, even the bad ones. In all the interviews after their performances, he asks them if this is something they want to pursue in the future, and leaves them with a compliment and a pat on the back. Every performer having a big smile on their face by the end as if they just nailed an audition. I know I had some fun laughing at some of these performances, but these people have a confidence way beyond most people. I couldn't imagine getting up on television and bearing it all with something I'm passionate about, and for that I applaud every single person who appeared on Stairway to Stardom. At some point this sort of content changed and every talent show that aired needed the mean Simon Cowell type, so it was nice to see everyday people just having a bit of fun. And there you have it, a deep dive into a public access show I'm sure many people wouldn't have even known existed if it wasn't for the internet. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Join the free Remember When Discord and tell me about some other public access shows that deserve a deep dive done on them. And remember, every like this video gets helps keep Frank Masi's spirit alive. Bye everyone.
So that's about it for this now, for this time. So God bless you and love everybody.